Hello, people. Today's a day we're going to continue in the book of Colossians, and we're still in chapter 1, but I want to talk to you about verse 5. It talks about this. It says, the faith and love. Remember, we spoke about that in the previous verse, that if you want to join a church, make sure it's a church full of faith, and is evidencing its faith through doing good works and being an assistance to the kingdom of God that needs to be restored. A faith aspect is vitally important. And then he goes on to say, and love. 1 Corinthians 13 tells us faith is great, hope is awesome, but love is the greatest. Make sure whatever church you're in, you are part of a love movement. That would be great. And then it goes on to say, talks about the faith and the love that spring up from the hope that is stored up for you in heaven, and that you have already heard about in the word of truth, the gospel that has come to you. I want to talk about that for a moment, if it's okay. This word of hope that is stored up for you in heaven. How often haven't we spoken about the fact that heaven needs to have a far greater place in our lives than we would probably give it? If we really believed in this place for heaven, it would deal with a whole lot of issues down here on earth. If we believed in this place called heaven, we certainly wouldn't be living in fear as we do. We're always fearful of this and fearful of that, not realizing that God has prepared a place where there will be no fear. And we can begin that feeling or that sense of security right here and right now. We need fear nothing. The Bible tells us that the only one we need to fear is God. And it says this, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so if we want wisdom, which is something we all really need, it begins with a deep respect and honoring of who God is. And that's a great theme for us to think about. But this hope is found in a place that is not here. It's not found in a political system that hope is going to get us out of trouble. It's not found in some super dynamic pastor who can stand up and preach up a storm. There's no hope found in him. He's just a talking head, and probably a good one, I hope he is. But at the end of the day, our hope is found not just as a relationship of Jesus, but as a result of the relationship that we have with Jesus that will lead us to this great place called heaven. Heaven needs to consume our thinking. Heaven needs to determine our attitudes to everything right now. For those of you who have lost loved ones, those who have loved Jesus, they're in heaven. You do know that. They haven't died. Their body may not be with us anymore, but they themselves are in this glorious place that Jesus spoke about when he said to his disciples, as they were feeling terribly disturbed, he said, guys, don't fear. Just trust me. In my Father's house are many rooms, and hey man, I'm going to prepare a place for you so that where I am, you will be also. And Jesus spoke that to fearful disciples, telling them, let heaven determine how you feel. Let heaven determine the hope that is within you. There's no hope in this world for those who do not have a heavenly vision. And so for us as believers, we have this wonderful opportunity. It's the greatest expression of faith that we could possibly have, is hope. And hope is not wishful thinking, well, I just really hope that something good is going to come, something that's better than this. That's not what it is. Hope is a deep conviction that Jesus is living out what he said he would live out, that Jesus is doing what he said he would do, and prepare this glorious place for us in heaven. Let that stimulate your thinking. Let that thought drive away all fear. Let that thought just be emphasized in your thinking as you fulfill God's glorious purpose for your life. It all relates to this place called heaven. So faith and love, as good as they are, they're awesome. There's something that fits between them. Faith, hope, and love. And hope comes from faith, believing that God has prepared and is preparing this most awesome place for each one of us. When we really believe that, we begin to live differently. We begin to live as this life has a different meaning, that the opinion of people around us does not matter that much, because at the end of the day, it's what God thinks about us that really counts. What people think about you doesn't matter at all, as long as God thinks the world of you. And when you step into that glorious place that we have this glorious hope in, And God says to you, hey man, welcome, well done, good and faithful servant. All of the trials and the traumas and the stuff that this world is offering to us and putting us through right now, we see as just a test. It's just a test. That's all it is. Folks, let's make sure that we pass this test. And by seeing this world from a heavenly perspective, oh my word, what a difference that is going to make. I hope you find it. I hope you see it, because it's wonderful when you do. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.